welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all having a lovely relaxing Sunday, and today I'm going to be doing a rare first impressions of this new Vichy Teint Idéal foundation. And the reason it's, or Ideal perhaps is how it's pronounced, yeah, the Teint Idéal foundation. The reason it's rare is because I tend to not have the patience to wait to film first impressions. I usually want to try on the foundations the second that I get them, but I was too busy after buying this the last day. So this is the newest foundation from Vichy. They have, or they are discontinuing, well, they pretty much have discontinued the Teint Pure, which has long been one of my favourite foundations ever, not just from Vichy but from them. So I was very sad to hear that that was going, even though I do have a backup bottle still left, and there are a few still available in the pharmacies at the moment, like with like 25% off and stuff like that. So if you guys do love your Teint Pure foundation, go out and get them now before they're gone. So I wanted to see if this would be much of a replacement for it. Now with the Teint Pure, I have the fluid foundation, which is aimed towards combination oily skin, and it's the same with the Teint Idéal. These are aimed, they have two different formulas. There's the fluid one, which is aimed towards combination oily, and then this is the cream, which is aimed towards dry skin. Now I can wear either because my skin is kind of both, depending on how I prep my skin. But I swatched both of them in one of the pharmacies, and the fluid was about a shade darker, or looked about a shade darker anyhow on the back of my hand than the cream. Now that could allow for oxidization and stuff like that with creams, because I know these can oxidize a little bit. So I will still pick up the fluid, I think, in a wee while, and then maybe compare it to the Teint Pure Free. But in the meantime, it's the cream of the Teint Idéal. I want to say Idol, but Teint Idéal, that I'm using today. And this comes in a tube, of course. It's a 30ml tube. It cost me $22.50, and it's available in pretty much every pharmacy here in Ireland. It's an SPF of 20. What it says about the foundation is that it's an illuminating foundation, an ideal complexion revealer. It gives natural results for 14 hours and evens out and corrects. So I've always been a fan of the Vichy stuff, and I always get excited when I see them coming out with new skin products, because that's their thing. Their thing is skin. So when they come out with skin makeup rather, I get very excited. Now the first ingredient is water, so it's water based, and then silicone heavy after that, with glycerin very high up. So that'll give you an idea of the formula. And in regards to how it applies, I'm going to show you the demo now and then talk a little bit about it through the demo, and then I'm going to come back later on in the video to let you know how it performed throughout the day and lasted to the very end of the evening. So I'm starting with a totally clean face. I did apply a light moisturiser and serum earlier on, but that was like an hour ago, so they're totally sunken in. And I'm not going to use this with a primer today, because I want to see how it just acts and survives on my skin alone without any help from anything else. The cream one comes in a tube like this. I'm pretty sure the fluid one comes in a pump bottle, a glass bottle, like the Teint Pure. And this is the colour I'm wearing, which is number 15 Ivory. This is the only one I can wear. Now the colours do vary throughout the different foundations, and when I swatched the fluid one in one of the pharmacies yesterday compared to this, the fluid one was actually a darker shade, so that's what made me kind of decide on the cream one. But I was happy to go with either, because I can kind of go with either. My skin can happily take either formula. And I'm going to use the Blank Canvas Cosmetics F20 brush, which is a flat top kabuki kind of brush, and pick up a little bit and just start to glide it over the face. Now this being a cream, I know that it's not going to set too quickly or anything like that, and I don't mind working kind of slow. I don't need to work quickly. So first of all, the colour is perfect, so that's something I definitely don't have to worry about. So even though this is a cream formula, it's not a thick cream. It's nowhere near as thick as, say, like Sculpt by MAC or anything like that. So it is quite it's a relatively fluid cream. It's just not that heavy in consistency, which I like. Now I'd say this colour is very, very close to an NC15 by MAC. So it's definitely yellow based. And that is it with one layer on, and I don't think I'll be going much heavier. What I might do is just apply a little bit with my fingers onto any areas where I want a little bit more coverage. And just to see how it acts underneath the eyes, I will apply a little bit. I tend not to usually apply foundation under the eyes, but with these more emollient ones, I can usually get away with it. And this having a yellow undertone or a yellow base to it, it actually would be very good for any purple discoloration under my eyes, which I get quite heavily. The feel of this on the skin is lovely and moisturising without being greasy. It's not at all sticky. I don't have a sticky residue on the skin afterwards, which is great, because that is something I would find with some creams. And I'd say it's definitely medium coverage. I wouldn't say it's light to medium coverage. It's not full coverage first off by any means. So that's the foundation on just by itself. I have no other concealer or anything on at all, so you can see the kind of coverage it gives. I can see some of my freckles coming through, absolutely. I mean, it hasn't covered them by any means altogether, and I do see some red blotches and a little bit of discoloration coming through, but it has absolutely evened out my skin tone, and it allows it to keep quite a natural, healthy sheen. It doesn't, like, there's no mattifying to it, and it's not meant to mattify. It is actually meant for dry skin, so you would expect it to give a nice kind of glow to the skin. But it's not a heavy thick cream by any means. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish off my makeup, and then I'll come back tonight before I take off my makeup, and we'll see how it lasted and how it withstands my oily T-zone as well, because even though I get quite dehydrated everywhere else, I do get my oily nose. So I'll just see you all then. So it is now nearly 10 to 10 here, and this has been on since, it was shortly after 1 o'clock when I filmed, so for about 8.5 hours, and this is how my foundation has held up. So I haven't touched, and I mean I literally haven't touched up. I was going to say I haven't touched my face since I put on my makeup. I probably have touched it, but I haven't actually touched it up at all since popping it on earlier on. So this is it, totally on its own. I haven't had to repowder or anything like that, and I have to say I'm super impressed with how well this foundation has held up. Considering it is a cream foundation, I was worried it might like separate and just not survive around the nose area, because that's what would happen with the Sculpt from MAC, like I mentioned earlier on, but absolutely not with this. This has held up so well. So you can see there, it stayed nice and matte in my forehead, fine around the cheeks, and then where I get oiliest, it's a little bit shiny. So it's not like ridiculous by any means. There hasn't been enough oil coming through to actually separate or eat away the foundation, which can happen sometimes. And overall, the colour is fine. It hasn't particularly oxidized. I'd say it's gotten like maybe a fifth of a shade darker, very little, and not even anywhere where it's dry, literally just around maybe the slightly oilier areas. But I'm really impressed. And then say here on my chin, where I tend to get a lot of redness and like blemishes and stuff, they're still pretty well covered. Like, it's not like it's kind of worn away in any of those areas either. So I'll give you a quick zoomed in look of my skin first. So that's it up close, and you can see there, you can definitely see it's a little bit shiny around my nose, on my actual nose, because that's where I get super greasy. But it's like fine everywhere else, and it has held up pretty well on my chin, where it normally tends to disappear from. So like I said, I'm really impressed. So from today's experiment, I'm giving the new Vichy Teint Idéal a really strong thumbs up. I couldn't be more impressed with a foundation from the first go. I really like this. I'm really impressed with how it handled. You can just see how well it's held up today. So I mean, obviously I'll see how we go along with it as we go along, and I am interested to see now how the fluid one would be compared to it. But this, as it is by itself, is just fab. And at €22, it's such a good price as well, because I would consider this, I know it's not necessarily like premium here in Ireland, because you know, €22 is not a premium price tag, but I'd still call this a high-end product, because for me the quality of the Vichy stuff is just next to none. So I hope you liked this little first impressions review, and yeah, that's really it for now. So if you missed my video on Friday, which was the pretty much like this eye look that I'm wearing today, the tutorial for that, I was trying out the new Revealed palette from coastal scents. So you can see that in action by clicking the box to my right, your left, and check that out. And then if you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. I upload at least 3 times a week, generally 4 going forward now that I'm doing this full time, so there will be plenty to come. And if you've got any suggestions for any future videos, make sure you leave them down below in the comments for me, and we'll see if any of them kind of stand out, or there's any that I think would be really, really beneficial for y'all. But in the meantime, just take care of yourselves, and I'll see y'all in my next video. So long, guys.